that if I remind myself that I have a choice as to how I am going to answer the challenge, I do much better. Because we all have a choice. And the choice is whether to react, which is a composite of all of our prior experiences in life, most of which, if not all, being fantasies anyway, or I can respond. And when I am alive enough and present enough and in the now enough to realize that I can respond, act, then I can inwardly feel better about myself because I have exercised the ultimate goal, at least for me, which is to realize that I create my reality. And given that I do that, I always have the choice of making it one based on the notion that love is all there is. It can get really difficult because what we have to do at that point is fight with all of the stuff that we've been accumulating since day one. And somehow working through that stuff takes effort. It takes being in the now. Because that is all I have. That is all that's real. If you think for a second that anything that happened yesterday is real anymore, it isn't. It's a replay of something that serves no good purpose. Actually, it serves a negative purpose because you can't live in that time frame in your mind and also be present. You can't do both things. As hard as you might try, it's not possible. So I find myself often, having to pinch myself and say, remember, all of that story is a story, and it really doesn't matter. What matters is right this moment. And trying to capture the moment here is a trick. But that's what I have to do. It makes life a lot easier. It makes life a lot easier when we shed all of the baggage that we carry around with us. It doesn't really matter. Forget about fault. Forget about problems, challenges. The truth of the matter is, we are here now. And all the rest of it is a fantasy, a story, an illusion. So, stripped of layers of gobbledygook, down to our pure selves, love is what we are. It is the natural state of the universe, of which we are each an integral part. As we are here together, let's acknowledge our literal oneness. We are all connected to one another at the submolecular level, whether we want to admit it or accept it or not. There is no you and me. There is no you and me. There is no duality. There's no getting away from it. We can construct imaginary borders. We can belong to our separate groups. We can follow different customs. We can live in different places. We can have different beliefs. But beyond all of that, and more, we are miraculously interconnected on a demonstrable physical basis. I mean, quantum physics leaves little room for disputing that scientific fact. So, Eckhart Tolle, who is an incredibly powerful contributor to this day's awareness, points out, you're not separate from the whole. You're connected to the sun, the earth, the air. You don't have a life. You are life. Not to get too heavy, and with a bit of levity, scientists say that the universe is made up of protons, neutrons, and electrons. They forgot to mention morons. Speaking of miracles, that we are breathing is a miracle. That we are is a miracle. I chuckle when I hear someone say, this or that is a miracle, as if just being is anything less than a miracle. Which leads quite naturally to the issue of profound gratitude. Trying to be truly grateful for this moment-by-moment gift of life while carrying the emotions of sadness or any other of the reactions that we choose to endure doesn't allow us to be alive. Life is the ultimate gift, the one that keeps giving. To appreciate that fact, we have to get over expectations and feelings of entitlement. Much harder done, I know, than said. It's difficult to get our minds around the notion that love is all there is, because thousands of years ago, the powers that be chose to invent the notion of dualism. And we have continued to swallow it, hook, line, and sinker. Call it what you may, me and you, they and us, good and bad, virtue and sin, heaven and hell. The concepts are fantasies and products of the imagination of fearful folks anxious to exercise as much control as they can over the natural state, which is pure, unconditional love. That's a natural state. That's where it all comes from, and that's where it all is at its very base. Take a look at the incredible synchronicities that flourish in nature. There's no dualism there, simply pure love. As some of you will remember the song, "Give Me a Home Where the Buffalo Roam and the Deer and the Antelope Play." That's like, it's asking for a natural state of affairs, which is where unconditional love exists. It's impossible to consciously watch a sunrise or a sunset or 1,000,001 other miracles that are happening around us all the time without acknowledging that the source can be anything less than pure love. There is no basis for any evil in what's natural. Just as we manage to hang on tenaciously to the contrived notion of evil and the concept of a devil, we have chosen as tenaciously to ignore the admonition in the sixth commandment, thou shalt not kill. You remember when that was first announced to the universe? Thou shalt not kill? I mean, what is there to modify about that? How can you possibly take those words and convert them into what we see? That we see. It's our vision. The yes, but to that clear command. So having referred to a biblical, pre-biblical reference, let me add that it's my conclusion that the fable of Adam and Eve has done tremendous damage to people, particularly the fairer sex, throughout history.
I say Eve was framed.
What a difference perspective we might be sharing if the two were allowed through fantasy, because that's what it is, to remain in paradise and happily side by side in